Hello and welcome to the Local Music Revolution. I am your host, Ogre. Today we have Josh from Zion in Ruins. I found Zion in Ruins on Bandcamp while looking and doing research for another band. I really liked the album cover, so I clicked on the link and I listened to the release, and I really dug what Josh was doing with the project. I also found that one of the releases the Zion in Ruins had previously had this year is the name of my next release. I thought it was pretty funny, pretty comical. So I went on Facebook and I sent a message off, and Josh responded within the same day. After that, it was only a few days and we were doing the interview. We talked about how Josh started the project Zion in Ruins. We talked about how he writes, and we also get into the new album that he is releasing on May 15th, 2015. And we get into many other things. Before we get into the interview, I want to say thank you for listening, for all of your support. I could not do this without the awesome bands that let me have an hour of their time so that we can talk about the music and their process and how awesome they are. And we can't do this without having fans to listen to this podcast that support the local music and the local bands. So thank you very much. You can connect with me and this podcast through facebook.com/thelocalmusicrevolution and on Twitter at TLMR podcast. The Local Music Revolution is also on Tumblr, tumblr.com/thelocalmusicrevolution. This whole process, this whole operation, whatever you want to call it, is run through WordPress. So go on to the localmusicrevolution.wordpress.com and follow the blog. There you will get all the information that you need concerning the podcast, what I'm doing next, any additional content I decide to put on that blog, because it is a blog and there needs to be more material put out. So I am working on ways of doing that at the present time. While you're at it, please remember that the Local Music Revolution is on iTunes and is on Stitcher. I am currently looking for more podcast readers to be a part of. As soon as I find a way to get my podcast on there, then that will be a thing that I will be doing. Until then, WordPress, iTunes, and Stitcher are the best places to get any information that is not on the Facebook. Plus, any past episodes that you want to hear are on the blog in the archives, just stored away for your listening pleasure. So now, here is Josh, the mastermind behind Zion in Ruins. Enjoy. Alright, I'm here with Josh from Zion in Ruins. What's up, brother? How you doing?
What's up, man? I'm pretty good. How are you?
I am doing pretty fantastic. I'm really excited that this interview got to where it's at. I was kind of
Me
terrified. I was terrified it wasn't going to happen. So, yeah, I'm really excited it is. So,
yeah, this is my first one, actually. So, yeah, it's pretty exciting.
oh, awesome, man. I'm really glad. I've heard that more than once doing this podcast, and I can't tell you how awesome it feels. It's really, really awesome to be able to give all of you guys, you awesome musicians, a chance to talk and be heard. So, thank you.
Man. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, man. So, firstly, before we get too far into this, can you talk about what got you into doing the solo project that you're doing, and where you got the name Zion in Ruins?
For sure. What got me into doing solo, first of all, I was in a lot of bands before. The main one I was in called Angela's Ashes. probably never heard of it, but we played a couple shows. We just recorded around, and I didn't like how it was going because I wanted to do I like having control over everything pretty much. So I that band kind of fell apart. So I took a step back and kind of I from the beginning. First of all, let's take it back. First of all, when I was pretty much 10 years old, I started writing my own music.
Nice.
But I can never get it recorded, so I just had them all written down. And then I joined this band. The band wasn't going where I wanted it to, so I stepped out, and the band pretty much fell apart. So then I got all my recording equipment and put all kinds of songs together, and first EP came out, and I got a lot of good vibes on it, I guess. So just kept going from there, and the rest is history with that. And the name Zion and Ruins, it's a funny story actually. And one of my favorite movies is The Matrix. And
oh, nice.
I don't know if you know, at the end of the third one or whatever, they have that big old battle scene with in Zion.
Yeah.
And it's all in ruins. And I was like, hey, Zion and Ruins, but all three together, and made that my name.
Dude, that's
and
awesome.
Then, pretty much thought, it was pretty cool, so I just rolled with it and see where it got me and stuff.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool. So you said that you got all your recording equipment, and then you started working on it. Was there a steep learning curve when you first got the equipment? Did it take you a while to get used to writing and recording at the same time, or how did that work out?
Oh man, that was I'm still learning today. The first EP, literally the first EP I ever put out was called what was it called? Diamond in the Rough. I literally had no effects on anything. I just put everything on the record, on the tracks, exported it, put it on YouTube, nothing. And then towards my first full-length album, that's when I started to get okay, this needs, EQ, and I started learning, okay, EQ, reverb, all kinds of that stuff. By the time my latest album's going to come out, it's good quality. I'm still learning, but it's coming a long way. So it's come a long way since I started.
Yeah, everything on my first album was all experimental. I knew how to add EQ and reverb and compression and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it was really an experiment because I didn't know if I could, and I had just spent a lot of money on a recording studio.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So yeah, that was a steep learning curve. But my subsequent EP and then my second album, I really like those a lot more. Because it kind of sounds a little bit more mature, but the stuff I'm doing now, man, I really dig that. Yeah, it's
you learn, you listen to you're listening to what you put out first, and then you okay, that was kind of, I can add this, I could have added this to this and that to that, and then pretty soon you got a full album later that's totally more mature and more powerful. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing for not many people understand it.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing. I don't know about you, but every time I release a piece of music, whether it's an album or a single or something, I actually try to figure out what I don't like or what I didn't like during the process.
Exactly.
I'm not a perfectionist. I think that actually hinders being creative.
Mm-hmm.
You try to get it as close to the thing in your mind as you can, but in the end you have to put it out, or you're just never actually going to put out music into the world, and that's a travesty.
Exactly.
So what I do, I make the list, and every album I try to address every single thing that I didn't like, at least try to make it better in some way.
Yeah, exactly. See, if you're not striving to make it perfect, there's no such thing as perfect. But if you're not trying to make it perfect, then you're pretty much, if you think you're already perfect, then you're done. That bands who think they're perfect, they don't go anywhere.
I actually
there's no growing.
Yeah, man. I actually like bands that you can hear the little mess ups here and there.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah,
can hear sticks clicking if they're playing too fast, or just a hair behind the click track or something like that. I like hearing
yeah,
that. It's more human.
exactly, exactly. Seriously, like in a couple tracks on my new album, like there's some like you know just all kinds of there's a lot of mess ups, but I kind of left it in there on purpose because like it keeps more like humanity to it. Like people, a lot of recording artists and bands use Pro Tools as a scapegoat, I guess, to making their albums, not
Better.
sound like them, and instead of using it as a tool, and
Yeah.
which it was supposed to be, and capturing them, they just turned it into something that's not even them. So like I like to make my music sound like if it has a mess up, hey, that's human. That's what it is. It's hard to explain, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, man. It also gives the music character. I mean,
Right.
if it's too sterile, I mean, it's not going to actually sound, good to me. I'd like in a couple of my tracks that I'm working on right now, one of my guitars has a slight buzz to it, or I
Yeah.
didn't mute a string properly when I needed to, or something like that. And it's those little things that I really, really enjoy hearing. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
It's like you remember, oh, okay, that's a guitar. Then that's not fake or anything, like that's not a fake guitar. That's a real guitar.
Yeah,
It's
man.
weird.
The only exception to real instruments is my drums. I'm actually a
Yeah.
drummer, but I have to play on an electric drum set because I live in an apartment.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah,
get
so
it.
so the drums to me they sound really really fake, but I do the best I can, you know.
Hey, that's all that matters. As long as you're having fun, and that's all that matters.
Yeah,
People,
yeah.
that's all
But
that matters.
yeah, dude, I leave in the triggers will actually if I hit the wrong spot on the snare, it'll go to a rim shot and the
Mhm.
snare will drop out. I'm like, you know what, screw it. That was
Yeah.
me playing. I screwed up there. You can hear a click instead of a snare. That's the only
Yeah.
thing. And I enjoy it. I like remembering those little times here and there. So yeah,
That's all that matters, though. As long as you like it, then that's all that matters, and people will follow along because people have the same taste. But as long as you like it, that's all that matters. Doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. But
exactly.
the fans come, fans go.
Yeah. So you're putting out music on a constant basis. It looks like from your Bandcamp. You have a substantial amount of releases. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you have another one.
One on the way.
What keeps you motivated? Well, not motivated, but inspired to write all this. Do you have those ebbs and flows where it just comes and go, or do you all write all of it from your past?
It's funny that you asked that because with the first album, the first album was called the Defy the Titans, and that came out a little while ago. Pretty much during that time I was writing it, I was going through a pretty bad time in my life. I had pretty much every single friend that I ever liked and I ever called a brother to me pretty much. They didn't like my EPs, so I guess that gave them a chance. Gave them a reason, I guess, to in layman's terms, harass me and
What?
post all kinds of crazy stuff online and come to my house and threaten to kill me. Just crazy stuff like that. So
Wow.
I literally, and at that time too, my girlfriend was living in her own place. So I was like, I'm gonna go over there and just write a couple songs. Pretty much turned into like 13, 14 songs. So I just channeled it all. When I write a song, I channel everything that I feel at that moment into the song. And no matter, if it's a sad song, I turn it in, stuff like that. And it's a weird, it's so hard to describe. but like as far as the music goes, the musical background without the vocals and stuff, I'll think of like a crazy guitar riff or a cool, whatever, guitar riff, drum riff, bass, something like that. I'll go home and I'll pretty much record it just straight up, no distortion, no anything on a track, so I don't forget it. And from there, I'll build on that, and then I'll add the vocals, what I want, how I want the direction of the song, and it changes every day. Every time I work on a song, it changes. It doesn't ever stay the same.
Yeah.
By the end, it's still even now, I'm still trying to change stuff from this album, and I'm trying to like, okay, it's time to stop. It's pretty good, and like so yeah, it's just the starting of a song. It's just you channel what you feel inside into the song, and it the song grows with you pretty much.
Yeah, man, I get it. I kind of have that same thing going on right now. There's actually the title track for my new album is it's been rewritten 3 times.
Yeah, exactly.
For me it didn't feel right, and I had to make it feel right. Especially with the statement like I wanted it to have, I needed it to feel right. And the third time was the charm, and I really, really enjoy it. To me, it's one of the better songs I've written so far. So
yeah,
I completely understand where you're coming from, man.
Exactly. If you pretty much have that like never give up attitude, then it'll come out how you want. You never quit on it until until you're satisfied, and then that's how it just goes, I guess.
Yeah, man. I've taken to this new project. I've tried to do it as slow as possible. Not really trying to be slow. It's trying to be deliberate with every move I make, or with every riff that I have. And it's taken me a lot longer to make it, but I feel like this is like the biggest step I've made as a musician.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
exactly. That's how I feel with my new album too. Exactly.
Nice, man.
Yeah. Cool.
Sorry, brother. Can you talk about the song Exodus, please?
Yeah, Exodus. That's actually that was added in later to the track listing. I had pretty much finished the album, and Exodus was at the beginning. Defy the Titans was like a pretty much like a F you, I don't like you, whatever type, whatever emotion you go through when you don't like somebody or something,
Yeah.
So I pretty much I took that and decided, hey, let's just write an album that's positive, So I took pretty much all the songs on the album are dark, but they have a message to them that can apply to everyone. And Exodus is one of those tracks that, like, hey, you're going through a hard time, but hold on to the happy things, that's all you got. No matter what dark times you're going through, like, it'll all be okay, and no matter what, like, just don't give up. That's my motto through life, is don't ever give up.
Yeah.
And I kind of just realized that recently, actually, so.
All right, man. Well, this is Exodus. and that was Exodus. All right, man. So we talked about your writing process a little bit, and we talked about the fact that you have your recording equipment.
Yeah.
Do you actually have a specific place, like a studio setup, or do you have just like, is it in your bedroom?
Well, the first album I ever made, it was in an abandoned house.
Oh,
Funny
nice.
story. But it was like I literally just set up. There was no furniture except a desk. So I brought all my stuff over, and luckily they had electricity, so I got to plug in all my stuff. But the first album was in an abandoned house. The second one, I was in the Olympian. This is what I'm talking about. Olympian was in, I think that was in my grandparents' computer room, something like that. Yeah, grandparents' computer room, and then the rest, I think all the other 4 albums, especially this new one, I literally set up like a desk in my closet. I'm actually talking to you in a desk in my closet right now. So, literally, I'm not even joking. It's weird how it turns out, but everything except for the drums, obviously, but literally in a desk in my closet, and it muffles sound, stuff like that. So hey, why not?
Hey, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, creative places, I guess.
Yeah, I'm all for the do-it-yourself musician. That includes writing, recording, making your own merch, whatever it takes to make your vision come true. I fully support that.
Exactly.
I'm actually extremely lucky in the fact that I have a second bedroom in my apartment that's completely dedicated to music.
Sick.
Yeah, I have my full studio set up. I have everything I need, and I'm very, very lucky to have that. And
That's awesome.
It's my favorite place on the planet.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's weird to say that. Oh, my closet's my favorite, my favorite place on the whole planet, but it is. It's weird.
Hey, man, that's more power to you, man. You have a place that is your own and that you can create. Not a lot of people can say that. Not a lot of people have balls enough to do that. So yeah,
exactly.
that is amazing.
Yeah.
So your recording equipment, like, do you have like a interface, like one of the cheap interfaces, kind of like the audio box?
Yep, I have a M Audio. It's a fast track.
Nice.
I plug my guitar into it. The only thing I don't use it for is drums. I use a what is it called? A fire something. But I have multiple ports and stuff like that, and and then I plug it all in. I actually use a lot of different DAWs or whatever you want to call them. I use a lot of different ones. I use Reaper, Record, which is Propeller Head, and also Pro Tools sometimes.
Nice.
But whatever I'm feeling that day, I use Reaper on pretty much like the piano stuff.
Okay.
It's better to edit for some reason for me. I don't know. But whatever, whatever I'm feeling,
Yeah, I when I first got into this, I got an audio box, and it came with Studio One.
Yeah.
I originally learned how to record on what is it, Cool Edit Pro, and it was bought and turned into Adobe Audition. And
right.
yeah, so I learned on that, but I switched over to Studio One, and I'm telling you, man, at least for my preference, there is no other workstation that is as good as this one.
Really, I actually have Studio One somewhere over here. I just never put it in my computer for some reason.
I'm telling you, man. I actually, for the first 2 albums, my EP and my first album, I used the free version of Studio One with no bells and whistles and everything.
Yeah.
And they actually had a sell where it was like the $400 program was like $100. And I was like, okay. So I bought the like full version of it, and it comes with a mastering suite, and oh my goodness, like
That's awesome.
it's so much easier to deal with than anything else I've used. So
I have to check that out. I actually have it in my freaking CD collection of all things, but I need to check it out. That's
hey
pretty
man,
cool.
you never know. It might give you at least a new way to record a new song or something like that. So
Yeah, yeah, or teach me new things or something. I'm all for learning new things, so you know.
yeah. Speaking of that, like, how'd you learn to record?
Well, I was actually I live in pretty much I live in Visalia, California. So at the time that I started, it was about 2005, 2006, and around that time there was literally like nobody recording around here, and or at least nobody that I knew of, nobody, like me, I guess. And so I was like, I was in a lot of bands, like I said, and we had nobody to record us, and we wanted to make music. So I went out and bought my own stuff. And long story short, my old friends, actually, they took all that stuff. They stole it from me, I guess. And
Wow.
yeah. So I went out and got more stuff recently, a couple years ago, I guess. I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago. I got new stuff. But yeah,
Nice.
it's you know, it's just been a long process, and I started out recording. I learned how to record my friend's band. It was a pop punk, Blink 182 ish type band, and
Yeah.
in order for him to he was gonna loan me some money to get equipment because I didn't we were like freaking like 13,
Yeah.
so, and for some reason he had money on hand. I don't know how, but he's like, hey bro, I'll give you money enough to buy your equipment if you record my band. So I was like, hey, cool, I'm down. And I just figured it out as I go, and the recordings turned out horrible. I still have them on MySpace somewhere, but they turned out terrible. And then I recorded another band, which I later joined, and then I learned all kinds of new stuff, and then that band fell apart, and then here I am. But yeah, that's pretty much how it started. I just was interested in recording, and I would always look up people's studios. Like, I like watching those studio updates that band posts. You
Oh,
know,
dude.
yeah,
Yes.
I like seeing those little details that they put in there, and that most people don't see. It's pretty interesting, but it
Yes.
just develops from there.
You don't understand. Yes.
Yeah,
I I
seriously.
I've spent the better part of the last 3 years looking at studio tours, studio how to put them together. I still look at
Yeah,
that just in case I've missed something important. Um
exactly.
like the studio documentaries the bands put out, like the signed bands. Oh my goodness. It's
Yeah,
amazing. I know exactly where you're at. I love that stuff. I thought I was the only one.
yeah. No, actually, today I literally just watched. I don't know if you listened to the Devil Wears Prada, but
Mm.
they came out with something for Record Store Day, and they put out a documentary on recording it, and I literally like watched that like 4 times, and it came out like a couple hours ago, and I've watched
Oh
it like
wow.
4 times. Yeah.
I
So
think I need to find that and check it out.
yeah, I think it's on their website, or I don't know, something like that.
Actually, the thing that I've been watching, and I've tried to pace myself, and I've been very good about it, was
Yeah.
Sonic Highways from Foo Fighters.
Oh
Um,
man, I haven't checked that out yet, but I've heard it's good.
yeah, man, it's a HBO TV special, and excuse me, um, it is by far one of the greatest musical like documentaries I've ever seen.
Really?
Yes, if you
Wow.
haven't watched it and you're a musician, I feel that you're missing out on like great inspiration, information, and just I mean,
Yeah.
it's history too. It's amazing.
Wow. I definitely check that out. I do like the Foo Fighters, so yeah, it's. definitely need to check that out for sure.
Yeah, man, they go to different towns in the U.S. and they learn about the history of the town, and they write a song at each a studio in each town. So
Wow.
yeah, so they're like L.A. and Nashville and New Orleans and New York, I believe. No, Washington D.C. And that's as far as I've gotten so far. But yeah, man,
Um,
they go into the history about that, and it's so wonderful.
it's so sick. I definitely need to check that out. It's on HBO, you said?
Yeah, it came out on HBO. If you're like me and you like hard copies of things,
Oh,
it's
yeah, me
about
too.
yeah, it's about $20 at Best Buy, and I highly recommend it.
Heck yeah, I'll have to. I definitely have to get that. I actually, I just watched, or I've had it for a while, but there's one. My favorite band, like of all time, is Green Day, and
Really?
yeah, and they came out with 3 albums in 2012, I think it was, and in just recently they came out with they called it Uno, Dos, and Tre or something like that, and they came out with Quattro, which was their documentary on recording it, and I bought that the day it came out. I've been watching it for nonstop, but it's one of those things. It's just focuses on the recording and the songwriting process and songs in their original skeleton form.
Oh
So
yes,
I
demos
love
are
that.
amazing.
That's
Uh,
my favorite right there.
yeah, one of my favorite bands, that I guess I have many of them, but one of my favorite is Machine Head, and for
Yeah, really.
for for their last CD, they actually did the whole, behind the scenes. It wasn't the fluff like for the general public.
Yeah,
It was like, okay, this is how we got this guitar sound, and this is what we did, and this is how we set up the drums, and
yeah.
and like they kept doing this disclosure, like if you're not interested in this, you're not gonna find this fun or interesting. But for you nerds, we love you.
Yeah,
Here you go.
exactly. See,
It's
like I'd be watching that, like, oh my gosh, this is heaven. you know?
yeah, man. I can't get enough of those. Try to look up new stuff on YouTube nightly before I go to sleep, so that I can have something, to sink my teeth into before I go to sleep.
Exactly. That's exactly what I do too. And then the only thing that sucks is you like I have really bad insomnia, so like I
Oh,
stay awake and I think about it like all night. I'm like, oh crap, if I just this is what they did, maybe it'll work for me.
yeah. No kidding. I've been there. I've done that. I completely understand. Sometimes it's
Mhm.
the greatest thing ever. Sometimes it just sucks to be you at that point.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right. So, what about your writing? Um, do you actually write lyrics first, or does that come later?
That actually comes like uh actually for this recent album, this is how pretty much an idea starts. Just to give you a general idea.
Okay.
I'll be at work and I'll think of something in my head, whether it be a lyric or a guitar riff or something. And like I said, I'll go home and put it on the computer. But a lot of times for this new album, I thought of a lot of the choruses first, and then I just basically shaped everything around it and what I wanted the song to be about. So I thought of, just to give you an example, A Place Where Shadows Fade, the title track. I was literally, I had an idea of how I wanted it to sound, but I didn't think in my head, oh, can I reach, like, how can I tell that in a way that, how it would, feel right for me, but also translate in the guitars, drums, bass to back the vocals up. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, um, that was pretty difficult. But then I somehow, I don't know how, I just pulled it all together, and I'm happy with the final result. And that song, that's actually my favorite song on the whole album. And I'm probably gonna release that next week or something. But it's just for this new album, especially, I just thought of, the story I wanted to tell, and, you know, there's actually a couple songs on the new album, especially, I told other people's stories that I've heard. Like, there's one track called In Depths of Darkness.
Wow.
It's the ninth track. It's about, I met this girl at work, and she's 17 years old, and she's already been to the hospital, like, I think 4 or 5 times for trying to kill herself.
Wow.
And yeah, so she told me a lot of her story. She trusted me, and I kind of took that and turned it into the song, and I formed the lyrics around something. I didn't want to straight up just call her out on the song or anything, so I kind of changed a couple things, but I kind of wanted to tell other people's stories as well as tell my own.
Yeah.
And A Place Where Shadows Fade especially is like, it's a place deep inside you, where everything just goes and rots, I guess. And then, you just have to find that balance between happiness and just bring in the happiness, and that's where the new focus is on the Design in Ruins project. That's just where it all stems from, I guess.
Since you talked about it, here is A Place Where Shadows Fade. And that was A Place Where Shadows Fade. All right, Josh. One of the things that drew me in about your Bandcamp was the album artwork. I really like doing that myself. I love doing my album artwork. But yours is very, very interesting. There's a bunch of tones that are here. Can
Mhm.
you talk about a couple of them? Maybe explain some of your favorite ones.
Sure. My actually, it was all completely random pictures that like I literally like took on my cell phone and I edited them and stuff like that, and um then they just happened to fit. Like the first one, Defy the Titans. There, I walked in my friend's house and there was two masks sitting on the table, and I was literally at the time I was thinking about what should be the face of this album. Like that's what album art is, the face, what people think about. So I saw these two masks and a rose laying on top of it, and I was like, hey, pulled out my cell phone, took a picture, edited it, and that was the album for that one. Um, the second one, Olympian, there was a giant black widow that was in my girlfriend's garage, and her dad took it out and for some reason killed it without smashing it. I don't know how, but and he threw a dime down next to it, and to show me how big it was. And I was like, at the time I was recording Olympian, and I was like, wow, that perfectly fits because like the spiders, the money can kill the spider. Like the purpose of that album was to tell like that you know money is like the root of all evil, pretty much, in my
Oh
opinion,
wow.
I guess. And and that was like perfect, because it killed and the spider was dead, so I edited that up. And then Fallout came around, and that Fallout, the second one, the second album, and the third album were all together. American Fallout, American Wasteland, and Tribulation Force. They were all a concept, a three, trilogy concept album, and it was pretty much, a story of this guy, you know, pretty much just this guy and his what he's trying to do to save the wasteland. Pretty much, it was about I liked a video game, so I wrote my own story about it. So the album artwork, though, I took an American flag for the first one, and I found a really old uh, mask, like a gas mask from the World Wars and stuff like that, and I pretty much edited it and put it on the flag and put my text. And yeah, and actually the most funny thing is they're all just pictures I've taken and just edited. I don't know how to say that, but yeah. Like the headstones of redemption, like I went to Washington D.C. and I took a picture of Arlington, and years later I just made that into an album cover, and it just, I see things and it fits perfectly for some reason. I don't get it, but it just, I see that when I listen to my album. Like for the last album I wrote, The Place Where Shadows Fade, I was sitting in my room like thinking like, man, what should be the album art for this one? And I thought of like a diary, like how you keep all your thoughts in a book. And I thought of that, like the whole purpose of the album was to let go of all the stuff that I was going through. So what better way to burn it, to burn the diary? So I took a book, I poured freaking gasoline on it, set it on fire, took a picture, and then edited it, and there it is. Edited. I can't say that word, but yeah, you get the picture.
Yeah, man. I done the same thing. It's a very, very awesome thing.
It's a weird thing, right? It's like it's just, you see a picture and it just like fits, and it's just like, there it is right there.
Well,
That's
here's
what.
the thing. My last album was called The Pawn and the King, and
Yeah,
it was actually based on Greek mythology, and you know, the
I love
whole,
Greek mythology.
yeah, the whole pantheon was in there at least once.
Yeah.
And so basically what I did was I bought a chess set from Toys R Us here in Tulare. I paid $10 for it. I brought it home, and then my wife and I spent an hour destroying it. And I'm going to tell you from experience, it is extremely hard to figure out how to destroy chess pieces in different ways.
It's crazy. It's crazy,
Yeah.
right? I don't know how to destroy chess pieces, but hey, you can
It's
figure it out.
yeah, it's extremely hard to figure out inventive ways to make it look like a war zone. But yeah, what we did was we sat there, and then after we destroyed them all, we put them back on the chessboard and kind of made it look like a war zone with a pawn and a king standing in the middle, and that is my album cover for my last album.
That's sick. I like that idea, actually. It's pretty cool.
Thank you. I still have the chessboard too. It's in my studio. It's like a little trophy.
Yeah, I love to keep those little trophies. Yeah. I didn't keep the spider though. That's somewhere gone. I don't know where that went, but
That'd be a little weird.
yeah, big old giant dead skeleton Black Widow. Yeah, that'd be kind of weird.
But yeah, I truly love that because it's a very inventive way on how to explain your music, and
yeah.
I don't know, like I also love designing merch. Like I've never gotten to a point with a band where I needed it. But we did it, and I had a blast with it. I loved designing shirts and trying to figure out like what line in the song will best represent us, and like how do I convey that.
Exactly.
And I just it's a whole different realm in music, and it's so fun, so very fun.
It is. And for some reason, that I've always liked that also, the designing part of it too. That's always been one of my favorite parts of making an album is, you know, the promotion with the designs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like the artwork, you know. That's always been my favorite.
It's kind of like reinventing yourself every time you put out an album. And
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
it's so fun. Just so fun. Just like, hey guys, look what I did. I did
Yeah.
all of this by myself. You better recognize.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right, man. Well, yeah. Can you tell me about the song Genesis?
Well, the song Genesis, I'm actually a Christian. I believe in God, and you know, a lot of my other albums have cussing in it, and I kind of want to just take a more positive one with this one. I don't like to force my beliefs on anyone or anything like that. You know, whatever you believe in, I'm totally cool with it. You know, I'll still, and you know, I don't care what you believe. If you're nice to me, I'm nice to you. That's how it goes for me. So, in the song Genesis, I kind of wanted to not talk about, you know, the actual story in the Bible, Genesis, but I wanted to talk about like just the beginning of where I believe the world is headed. Like I think in the years I've seen the world is headed downhill, and you know, I say in like the second verse, like all the stuff you see on TV, there's nothing ever good on TV. You know, there's nothing ever positive.
Yeah.
And you know, so I kind of wanted to just touch on that subject a little bit, and just wanted to say, like in the song, like, you know, we are the greatest. Humanity is the greatest design that in the world. No matter what you believe, we're literally the greatest design, apart from, you know, animals and plants and stuff like that. And we're the only ones that can, you know, that know we're alive. And I think that humanity in itself takes that for granted, and, you know, doesn't really care about that. And, you know, I kind of want to just write a song to speak about that. I know a lot of people don't believe in the same thing, which is totally fine. But, you know, I just wanted to touch on that subject a little bit. So that's how it went.
That's awesome. That's actually a really, really interesting idea, man. I wouldn't have thought that deeply about humanity, to be honest.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Well, this is Genesis.
a stranger every time I look up in the sky. I see the stars, and as I sit and wonder, I know just where you are. You're there through the pain and the fire and the flames when I ain't okay, when I can't insane, when I'm about to break and I feel like the whole world has just been dropped on my shoulders. I feel like I've lost who I am, so I'll just send this quick. You know everything about my life. This is just the beginning. Your days are go.
And that was Genesis. All right, Josh. We've talked about all of this fun stuff. Your recording, your writing process. I actually just looked over and I saw my guitars, and I was wondering, like, firstly, what was your first instrument? And like, do you still have it? Is it still like your favorite thing on the planet, or what?
Oh yeah. Actually, my first instrument ever was an acoustic guitar. It was blue. I named it Blue Jay. I don't know why, but I'm actually looking at it right now as well. But it's my grandpa gave it to me, and I don't know where he got it, or but I've had it ever since, and I've used it on a couple tracks, but not that much. And that was my first one. I still have it, and I'm always going to keep it. And the first one that I started on was pretty much the guitar, but I didn't know how to play anything. And I actually learned how to play bass through the band that I joined, Angela's Ashes or whatever. They changed their name like 4 times. That's why I say whatever. But I learned how to play. I literally learned how to play bass, and they just wanted me for like one show just to be up there. And they thought I had good stage presence, so they taught me how to play bass. So nice. I took that and learned how to play guitar, and finally, the rest turned into the guitar parts on Zion and Ruins, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man.
So.
My first instrument that I bought myself, actually, like, I'm a drummer, so drums is always going to be my favorite thing, but like,
Right on.
I bought myself this Dean guitar. It's black, and it's called a Custom 250. It's just like a Strat kind of style. It's really, really interesting. But I got that, and that's my favorite guitar I've ever held. It was like $150 guitar, but oh my goodness, it feels like home every time I touch that guitar.
Exactly, it just feels right. It's weird. But
I've gotten a collection of guitars now, and that one, every time I pick it up, it's made its way into every single recording I've done so far for myself.
Yeah. Exactly. That's kind of like I have a cherry red Ibanez Geo that I picked up for my friend, actually, who I was in that band with, that I was talking about, and he didn't want it anymore because he got a new one. So he gave it to me, and I've used it on every song I've ever written. And I've just, changed up the amps and distortions and, stuff like that. But it's my favorite guitar ever.
Yep, I know. I know the feeling. Like I said, that guitar, that's my ice, man. I love that guitar so very much.
Exactly.
All right, man. So, I would really like to know what your future plans are. I know you said you're releasing an album, and you've got the promotional material up on your Facebook and your media site, but what are your plans going forward?
My plans going forward is I'm going to put out this album, and I'm just gonna write on it, and then I'm gonna die. That's it. Just kidding. I'm gonna put out this album, and I actually have a planned down the road, maybe like I don't know, 6 months to a year, I'll come out with like a re-release version of it, except with like more songs. Like I'll write an EP, but like merge it together, you know, just have like a split thing, just so I can hold it off long enough so I can write, you know, another album. Because in the past I just put out albums like crazy, you know. And I really believe in this album. It's my favorite one that I've ever done, and I still like listen to it like it's my favorite band, even though it's me. And you know, so I really believe in this album, and I really believe that people should hear this album. So I want to kind of push it as far as I can go. But after you know that, when I feel the time's right, I'll start working on another one. I'm thinking about, you know, trying to set up a couple shows here and there, you know, but just trying to find, you know, ways to do that, I guess, and ways to set those up, stuff like that. I'm not really into, you know, for some reason, I know this sounds really bad, but I like having all the creative control.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to my music, like that I write. So I don't like when other band members, I guess, come in and say something. That sounds horrible, but when it comes to music that I write, you know, that I would like to stay that way. So I kind of want to figure out how to do it just me, I guess. I don't really like being in the spotlight, but you know, it's always fun to play shows. I really like playing shows. That's when I feel most comfortable for some reason. But
yeah.
just, you know, along the lines of shows and, you know, more music in the later years and stuff like that, you know.
Well, that sounds awesome. I actually have a friend, believe it or not, he is in a one-man like black death metal band.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I have no idea how he does it, but I know it is doable. I'm pretty sure you'll have to have a computer on stage or some kind of trigger mechanism.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I'm confident if you have the will, you will be able to make that stage show, and you'll be able to play out shows with your music.
Oh, for sure. That's actually what I've been working on, trying to get everything timing right, and, you know, like you know, just stuff like that. I've written like freaking 8 whatever albums, you know, 3 EPs and, you know, a bunch of albums. So I'm trying to get set lists, you know, just stuff like that, and trying to make it all fit and work for that people would enjoy a live show with just me, and how I can play the crowd and stuff like that, and let them have a good time instead of me, because I don't really like the spotlight. I'd rather have it on the music, you know.
Yeah, man, I completely understand. I am writing and recording, and I don't really actually see myself ever doing this live unless I was able to find a band to be in front of me so that I could play the drums. Because, yeah, I'm a drummer. You put me in front of a microphone in front of people, and I freeze, and I start sweating really bad. And, you know, I get very, very shy. But you put me behind drums, and I turn into a freaking monster. So.
You know, it's so weird that you say that, because I remember the first time I ever played a show in my last band, and I was thinking, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to freeze, and I'm going to let my guys down, and this is going to be so embarrassing. But I literally, like, I went out there, and I had literally, just for me, I'm not joking, I don't like to put myself in, you know, in the spotlight or anything like that, like I said, but I had literally a line of people trying to coming up to me, having me sign their shoes. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what do you, I would, the first person that did that, like, there was only like 3 people that had me sign their shoes, but I mean, we had a bunch of CDs and stuff, you know, but as soon as we ran out of the CDs, then they were like, oh, you sign my shirt, sign my shoes, blah, blah. But they came up to me once the CDs ran out, and they were like, hey, could you sign my shoe? I'm like, dude, get out of here. Like, are you trying to mock me or something? And they were like, dude, I'm serious. and they wanted to take a picture with us, and I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking, dude? I think I did horrible. I played horrible, but I was, you know, you just get out there and I don't know. For me, anyways, I just lose control and just start going crazy, and the songs get played all right, but you know, and I think that's how I'd be with this band, and being in the front too. Like, you know, I like to just have fun and just, you know, I like to, if the crowd's having fun, then I'm having fun. So if the crowd's not, then it's just weird and awkward. And I'm kind of like a semi-awkward person, so.
Yeah, I completely understand that, man. Yeah, I don't know how to act in front of people unless I'm behind
Exactly.
drums. You like I said, you put me behind drums and I turn into a monster. I know exactly what to do. That is where I should live for my entire life because that's where I feel most comfortable.
That's sick. Yeah, exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to seeing when you make this a stage show. I'm really, really interested in seeing how you're going to do it.
Me too. Hopefully it ends up all right. And I have a lot of plans for it and a lot of hopes. So, and I'm pretty sure I can make it happen. It's just the right time.
Well, dude, that's really awesome. Do you have any idea what the set list is going to be like? Is it going to be like from every release you've done, or are they going to be specific ones that are always going to be on there?
Well, what I was thinking about doing is, you know, getting at least one song from every release. The only release I don't want to have is my third EP, which and my second one, which I thought were terrible EPs. But all my albums, I'm gonna have at least one or two songs from. Maybe my first one also, my very first one. Yeah, maybe I'll have one for my first one also. I just wanna re-record it so that it all fits. I just don't want to come out there and just have, like, you know, no effects on anything and just stands out like a sore thumb from all the rest of the set list, you know.
Yeah.
So I want to just, you know, get it all on one, and you know, however I can do it, that's how I want to do it. And I know I have an idea of which direction to go. I just need to, you know, go that direction. Once this album is out, I think I'm gonna pursue it. But
awesome, man. Well, that's great to hear. Like I said, I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what you're gonna do with it.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
With that, how can people find you and get a hold of you and tell you how awesome you are?
Well, if they, you can find me on Facebook at www.facebook.com/ZionInRuins1, all one thing. And you could also find me on Bandcamp, www.zioninruins.bandcamp.com, where I'll have my new album, Place Where Shadows Fade, May 15th. I'm going to start streaming it on the 1st of May. And you could also find me on Instagram. I think it's just Zion in Ruins. You just look it up and it's on there. I haven't been on there in a while, but there should be some stuff on there. So, and Reverb Nation also, and SoundCloud. It's
awesome.
all, you know, it's just all Zion in Ruins. If you just, you know, type in Zion in Ruins, and you should find the Reverb Nation on my Facebook. So,
awesome, man. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's actually been very, very fun talking to you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's been very fun too. This is actually my first one, so hopefully I wasn't too awkward for you.
No, man, you've been a great guest. I really, really dig what you're doing with your music. I love the fact that you're doing it, you know, all by yourself. You know, that is amazing. And yeah, man, just keep me posted on the things you're doing, because I'm really, really interested in seeing how you're gonna pursue this music.
Yeah, man, I'm also interested in hearing some of your stuff too, so that should be cool too. It's nice to see all the, you know, all the DIY musicians, like they like to call them, or whatever you want to, you know, say. But it's nice to hear all the solo people that, you know, get out there and do it like me. I thought I was alone, so pretty cool, you know.
Yeah, man, it's a huge thing now, and it's a great time to be a musician. So
Exactly.
it's great that we're all trying to take our little piece of the pie now.
Exactly. Right.
All right, brother. Well, again, I thank you so much. You've been very gracious in all of the nonsense that's gone on today, and thank you again, man. And like I said, keep me up to date and make sure that you rock that shit when you get to Terrence.
Heck yeah, man. Appreciate it, dude. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
You're very welcome, brother. Until next time, I'll see you.
See you later.
Well, in case you haven't been paying attention for the last hour and 10 minutes, that was Josh from the project Zion in Ruins. It was really cool to talk to Josh about how he does his music because I am in the middle of doing mine. It was very inspirational to me to know that somebody else does pretty much the same thing I do, and it's very awesome to have that. Very interesting to find out about how Josh does his music as opposed to me doing mine. Do-it-yourself music is a very liberating thing, and it's just amazing to be a musician in this day and age with all of the technology that we have for us. We can make entire albums in our bedrooms, in our underwear, and it is amazing. Amazing. I would recommend anyone in music ever to become a do-it-yourself musician, have the studio equipment, even if it's just to make demos for your band so that you can write music when you're away from practice. I don't care. Once you have that in your life, you'll understand what it is that is so amazing about this. As for you, the listener, I highly recommend going and searching for Zion in Ruins on Bandcamp and getting all 8 of Josh's CDs because I think I have 6 of them, and they are very good. I listen to them at work because I am a security guard, and for the majority of the time I have nothing to do. Why not listen to some good local music? I highly suggest you doing that. You should also get a hold of Josh and tell him that you heard his interview here on the Local Music Revolution. I'm sure he would love to know that his information is getting out via this awesome podcast that I seem to have created. So, as for me in this podcast, I'm very interested in what you have to say about the show. I'm really interested about your opinions on what we're doing and the guests that we've had on so far. You can always contact me at Facebook/Local Music Revolution and on Twitter at TLMR Podcast. You can also go onto thelocalmusicrevolution.wordpress.com to follow the blog because this is run on WordPress and there's more than just the podcast that will be featured as soon as I get that content written and double checked and triple checked and all of that goodness. You can also rate, review, and comment the podcast on iTunes. All you have to do is search the podcast section of the iTunes store for the Local Music Revolution, and the podcast will pop up with all current episodes. Commenting and rating is always a great thing when you're talking about iTunes. It helps more people see because it helps my ranking get better. So, yeah, please have at it. It's great when people comment. The Local Music Revolution is also on Stitcher for all you Android users. That's how I listen to podcasts on my phone. Just go and download the app. You can sign in with Facebook, Google+, and your regular email. Once you're signed up, just look for the Local Music Revolution and you'll be able to listen to all the past episodes and you'll be able to keep up on the future episodes. If you are a band or an artist or a company that helps local music, unsigned music, and or artists, I would like to talk to you. I would love to have you on the show. If you are someone or if you know somebody that has these talents or the ability to help these people with talents. I am very interested. You can get a hold of me at thelocalmusicrevolution at gmail.com. The WordPress also now has an interview sign-up sheet that you can go as the top right corner. It says plainly as day, interview sign-up sheet. Go on there, fill it out. Let me know that you're interested, and we will get the process started to get you on the show. Next Thursday, I will have a gentleman by the name of Julian. He is from the band When All Is Conquered. This is an amazing interview. I don't want to go into specifics and ruin it, but you'll understand why once you've heard this interview. Until next time, this is the Local Music Revolution. I am Ogre. You are awesome. Take care, everyone, and be good.